The sound of the shower running upstairs was my cue. I sat at our kitchen table in our Tudor-style home in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood, staring at my husband Connor's phone vibrating on the granite countertop. It was 7:15 p.m. on a Friday in late October, rain pattering against the windows, typical Pacific Northwest autumn weather. Connor had left his phone charging while he showered before our dinner reservation at Canlis, the upscale restaurant where we were celebrating our 10th wedding anniversary. 10 years. A decade of marriage to a man I thought I knew. The phone lit up again. Amber Cruz. I miss you. I picked up the phone, my heart pounding. I knew his passcode, 0428, the day we met. He'd never hidden it from me, never given me a reason not to trust him. Until 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, I'd noticed changes. Connor staying late at the architecture firm where he was a partner. New cologne. The gym membership he'd suddenly started using after years of my encouragement falling flat. His phone always face down. That distant look in his eyes when I talked about my work as a surgeon at Swedish Medical Center. I'd told myself I was being paranoid. Connor wasn't the type. We had a good marriage. We were partners. We supported each other's demanding careers. We were trying for a baby. But Amber Cruz's message staring at me from the screen said otherwise. I unlocked the phone and opened their text thread. My medical training kicked in. The same calm detachment I used in the operating room when faced with a crisis. Assess the situation, gather information, make a plan. The messages went back 2 months. Amber, September 15th. Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you. Connor. Me neither. But we have to be careful. Kate can't find out. Kate, me, his wife. The woman showering him with love while he showered before our anniversary dinner. I scrolled through weeks of messages, stolen moments in his office, a weekend in Portland when he'd claimed to have a client meeting, promises of a future together, and something that made my blood run cold. Amber, 2 days ago. When are you going to tell her? I'm tired of being a secret. Connor. Soon, after the anniversary dinner. I don't want to ruin that for her. She's been looking forward to it. How considerate. He was going to wait until after our anniversary dinner to destroy our marriage. The shower was still running upstairs. I had maybe 5 more minutes. I looked at Amber's latest message again. I miss you. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could confront Connor right now. Scream, cry, throw things. Or I could do something smarter. Something surgical. I typed a response. Missing you too. Kate's going out with her sister tonight after dinner. Come over around 10? I hit send before I could second-guess myself. 3 dots appeared immediately. Amber was typing. Amber. Really? Are you sure it's safe? Me, as Connor. Positive. She'll be gone for hours. We'll have the house to ourselves. Amber. I can't wait. I'll bring that wine you like. Me, as Connor. Perfect. See you at 10. I deleted the conversation from Connor's recent messages and placed his phone back exactly where he'd left it. Then I pulled out my own phone and texted my sister Michelle. Me. Need a favor? Can you cover for me tonight? Tell Connor I called you upset about a patient and needed to talk? Michelle. What's going on? You okay? Me. Connor's cheating. I'll explain later. I need him to think I'm with you tonight. Michelle. That bastard. Yes, absolutely. Whatever you need. Me. Thank you. I love you. I heard the shower turn off upstairs. I quickly smoothed my black dress, the one Connor had bought me for my birthday, and checked my reflection in the hallway mirror. 34 years old, shoulder-length dark hair, brown eyes that had seen too much trauma in operating rooms to be shocked by anything anymore. Except apparently, they could still be shocked by a cheating husband. Connor came down 5 minutes later, looking handsome in a charcoal suit, his sandy hair still damp. He smiled at me. That smile I'd fallen in love with 12 years ago when we'd met at a mutual friend's party. You look beautiful, he said, kissing my cheek. I smiled back, playing my role perfectly. So do you. Ready for our anniversary dinner? Absolutely. 10 years. Can you believe it? No, I said honestly. I really can't. The drive to Canlis was quiet, NPR playing softly on the radio. Connor seemed distracted, checking his phone at red lights. probably looking for Amber's response to his invitation. Canlis sat on a hillside overlooking Lake Union, its mid-century modern architecture glowing warmly against the rainy night. We'd been coming here for special occasions since our first anniversary. It was our place, or it had been. The hostess seated us at our favorite table by the window. Seattle's lights sparkled below, the Space Needle visible in the distance. It should have been romantic. Instead, it felt like a wake. To 10 years, Connor said, raising his wine glass. To truth, I replied, clinking my glass against his. He didn't catch the irony. Dinner was exquisite. Canlis was famous for its Peter Luger-style steaks and impeccable service. Connor talked about his latest project, a sustainable housing development in Ballard. I talked about a complex surgery I'd performed earlier that week. We were perfect at this. The successful couple with impressive careers, making conversation over expensive wine. We were also perfect at lying to each other, apparently. Halfway through the main course, my phone rang. Michelle, right on cue. I'm so sorry, I said to Connor. It's Michelle. I should take this. He nodded, and I stepped away from the table. Kate? Thank God, Michelle said, loud enough for Connor to hear if he was listening. I need you. Can you come over? I'm having a crisis. Of course, I said. I'll be there as soon as I can. I returned to the table, my face arranged in concerned sympathy. I'm so sorry, Connor. Michelle's having a breakdown about her divorce. She needs me. Tonight? On our anniversary? I know, I'm sorry. But she's my sister. She's really struggling. Connor tried to look disappointed, but I caught the flash of relief in his eyes. This worked perfectly for him. Now he had a reason for me to be gone when Amber showed up at 10. Of course you should go, he said. Family comes first. We can celebrate tomorrow. Are you sure? Positive. I'll get the check and head home. You go take care of Michelle. He paid $400 for a dinner we barely finished, and we walked to our cars. Connor had driven separately from the firm. Another red flag I'd missed. Thank you for understanding, I said, kissing him goodbye. That's what marriage is about, he said. Being there for each other. The hypocrisy was stunning. I drove to Michelle's apartment in Fremont, where she was waiting with wine and outrage. I can't believe him, she said, pulling me into a hug. 10 years, Kate. You've been married for 10 years, and he's throwing it away for some coworker? Architect, actually. She works at his firm, 28 years old. I'd looked up Amber Cruz on LinkedIn while Connor was in the shower. Junior designer, ambitious, beautiful. You're beautiful. You're a surgeon. You save lives. What does she have that you don't? Youth, availability, no demanding career that sometimes means I'm at the hospital for 18-hour shifts. I poured myself wine. And apparently, she's willing to be the other woman. So what's the plan? You're not actually staying here all night, are you? No, I'm going home at 9:45. Connor thinks I'm here. Amber thinks she's meeting him at our house at 10. I'm going to be there when she arrives. Michelle's eyes widened. You're going to confront them both? I'm going to let them confront the consequences of their choices. At 9:30, I left Michelle's apartment and drove through the rainy Seattle streets back to Capitol Hill. Our house was dark when I arrived at 9:50. Connor's car was in the garage, lights on in the living room. I parked down the street where I could see the front door but wouldn't be immediately visible. Then I waited. At 9:58, a silver Audi pulled up in front of our house. A blonde woman got out, checked her reflection in the car window, grabbed a bottle of wine, and walked up to our front door. Amber Cruz. In person. She was pretty. I'd give her that. Tall, fit, wearing jeans and a leather jacket. She looked excited, nervous, checking her phone one more time before ringing the doorbell. Connor answered immediately. Even from my car, I could see his smile, the way he pulled her inside quickly, looking around to make sure no neighbors saw. I gave them 5 minutes. Long enough to get comfortable. Long enough to think they were safe. Then I got out of my car, walked up to my own front door, and used my key to let myself in. The living room was empty, but I could hear voices and laughter from the kitchen. I walked quietly down the hallway, my heels clicking on the hardwood floor. They were in the kitchen, Amber sitting on the counter, Connor standing between her legs, both of them holding wine glasses. His hands were on her waist. She was laughing at something he'd said. I cleared my throat. They both jumped like teenagers caught by parents. Amber's wine glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the tile floor. Connor's face went white. Kate, what? You're supposed to be at Michelle's. Funny thing about that, I said, my voice eerily calm. Michelle didn't actually have a crisis. I made that up, the same way you made up needing to come home alone after dinner. Amber had scrambled off the counter, backing away from Connor. Oh my God, you're his wife. I am, and you must be Amber, the coworker who misses my husband so much she couldn't wait until after our 10th anniversary to text him about it. We didn't. Please don't insult me by lying. I read your messages. All of them. I pulled out my phone, showing screenshots I'd taken of their conversation. 2 months of sneaking around. A weekend in Portland. Plans for a future together. And my personal favorite, Connor planning to tell me after our anniversary dinner. How thoughtful. Connor found his voice. Kate, I can explain. Can you? Please. Explain how you've been sleeping with your coworker while your wife worked 60-hour weeks at the hospital. Explain how you used our anniversary dinner as a cover to get me out of the house so you could have her over. I'm fascinated to hear this explanation. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. I turned to Amber. And you? You knew he was married. You knew, and you pursued him anyway. Do you feel good about that? About being the other woman? I didn't mean... It just happened. Nothing just happens. You made choices. Both of you made choices. I set my purse down on the counter, my hands remarkably steady. Here's what's going to happen now. Amber, you're going to leave. You're going to go home, think about the kind of person you want to be, and decide if that person is someone who destroys marriages. Kate, leave. Now. She grabbed her purse and practically ran for the door. It slammed behind her, and then it was just me and Connor in the kitchen that suddenly felt too small. How long have you known? He asked quietly. 3 weeks, I've suspected. Tonight, I confirmed it. When you were in the shower, she texted you. I read everything. Jesus, Kate. I'm so sorry. Are you? Or are you just sorry you got caught? He slumped against the counter. Both. I don't know. I'm confused. Confused about what? Whether you want to be married to me or be with her? I love you. I do. But things between us have been strained. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't blame our marriage for your affair. If you were unhappy, you should have talked to me. You should have suggested counseling. You shouldn't have fucked your coworker. He flinched at my language. Good. What happens now? He asked. I'd been thinking about this all through dinner, all through the drive home, all through the confrontation. What did I want? I don't know, I said honestly. I need time. Time to think, to process, to figure out if there's anything left of this marriage worth saving. Do you think there is? I looked at him, really looked at him, and tried to find the man I'd married. But all I saw was a stranger who'd betrayed every promise he'd ever made to me. Ask me in a week. Right now, I need you to leave. This is my house too. And I'm the one who just caught you with your mistress in our kitchen. So unless you want me to make this very public, very messy, and very expensive, I suggest you pack a bag and find somewhere else to stay tonight. He stared at me for a long moment, then slowly nodded. Okay, I'll go to a hotel. But Kate, we need to talk about this. Really talk. We will. Just not tonight. I watched him pack a bag, his movements mechanical and slow. When he came back downstairs, overnight bag in hand, he paused at the door. I really am sorry. I never meant to hurt you. But you did. And sorry doesn't fix it. After he left, I walked through the house, looking at our life together with new eyes. The furniture we'd chosen together, the art we'd collected, the photos of vacations and celebrations. All of it felt like evidence of a life that maybe had never been real. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on the couch, finally allowing myself to feel everything I'd been holding back. The pain, the anger, the betrayal. Tears came, hot and bitter. My phone buzzed. Michelle. Michelle. How did it go? Are you okay? Do you need me? Me. It went. I'm not okay. But I will be. Michelle. I'm coming over. Me. No. I need to be alone tonight, but thank you. Michelle. Call me if you change your mind. I love you. Me. I love you too. I sat in the dark living room, rain still falling outside, and thought about the choice ahead. Could I forgive Connor? Did I even want to try? Or was this marriage already over? Killed by 2 months of lies and a Friday night confrontation in my own kitchen? I didn't have answers yet, but I had time, and I had myself. And for tonight, that would have to be enough. I woke up on the couch at 6 a.m., my neck stiff and my eyes swollen from crying. The wine glass sat empty on the coffee table, and pale morning light filtered through the windows. For a moment, I forgot what had happened. Then it all came rushing back. Amber's text, the setup, the confrontation. Connor had slept with his coworker. My husband of 10 years had an affair. I stood up, my body protesting, and walked to the kitchen. The broken wine glass from last night still littered the floor. I cleaned it up methodically, sweeping every shard into the dustpan, wiping down the tiles, erasing the evidence of Amber Cruz's presence in my home. My phone showed 6 missed calls from Connor and a string of text messages. Connor, 11:47 p.m. Kate, please, we need to talk. Connor, 1:23 a.m. I can't sleep. I keep thinking about your face when you walked in. Connor, 3:15 a.m. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm asking for a chance to explain. Connor, 5:30 a.m. I love you. Please believe that. I didn't respond. Instead, I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table, staring out at our small backyard garden. The roses I'd planted 3 years ago were dying back for winter, their blooms spent. My shift at the hospital didn't start until noon. I was scheduled for an afternoon surgery, a complex cardiac procedure I'd been preparing for all week. The irony wasn't lost on me. I spent my days literally holding human hearts in my hands, repairing damage, making them whole again, yet I had no idea how to fix my own broken heart. At 8 a.m., Michelle called. How are you holding up? I don't know. Numb, mostly. I refilled my coffee. He's been texting all night, wants to talk. Are you going to? Eventually, but not yet. I need to think clearly, and I can't do that when I'm this angry. I paused. I have surgery today. A 63-year-old woman with a failing mitral valve. She's counting on me to save her life. I can't afford to be distracted. Kate, maybe you should call in. Get someone to cover. No, I need the focus. I need to think about something other than my husband's affair. I heard the bitterness in my own voice. Mrs. Patterson deserves my best. She doesn't deserve a surgeon who's falling apart. You're allowed to fall apart. You just found out your husband's been cheating. I'll fall apart after surgery. Right now, I need to be Dr. Catherine Chen, cardiac surgeon. Not Kate Mitchell, betrayed wife. I hung up and got ready for work, going through my morning routine on autopilot. Shower, professional attire, hair pulled back, minimal makeup. In the mirror, I looked composed, competent. No one would know my world had shattered 12 hours ago. The drive to Swedish Medical Center took 20 minutes through Saturday morning traffic. I walked through the familiar halls, nodded to colleagues, checked on my patient in pre-op. Mrs. Patterson looked small in the hospital bed, her husband holding her hand. Dr. Chen, she said, managing a weak smile. I'm ready. We're going to take excellent care of you, I promised. I'll see you in a few hours. In the scrub room, I went through my pre-surgery ritual, washing hands, arms, focusing my mind entirely on the task ahead. This was my sanctuary. In the operating room, nothing existed except the patient, the procedure, the precision of my hands. The surgery took 4 hours. It was delicate work, replacing the damaged valve, ensuring proper blood flow, monitoring every vital sign. My team worked seamlessly around me. This was what I was good at. This was where I had control. When Mrs. Patterson's new valve began functioning perfectly, when her heart rhythm stabilized, when I knew she'd wake up tomorrow with years added to her life, I felt the first moment of peace since yesterday. Excellent work, Dr. Chen, my surgical resident said as we closed. Team effort, I replied, but I felt the satisfaction deep in my bones. I'd saved a life today. I'd done something that mattered. In the surgeon's lounge afterward, I finally checked my phone. More messages from Connor, and one from a number I didn't recognize. Unknown. Dr. Chen, this is Amber Cruz. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I need to say I'm sorry. What I did was wrong. I'm not asking for forgiveness, just wanted you to know I'm filled with regret. I stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it. I didn't have energy for Amber's guilt. My colleague Dr. James Park knocked on the door. Kate, you okay? You've been in here for 20 minutes. Yeah, just tired. Long surgery. He studied me with the perceptive eyes of someone who'd worked alongside me for 5 years. That's not it. What's going on? And suddenly, I needed to tell someone. Someone who wasn't family, who could give me an objective perspective. Connor's having an affair. I found out last night. James sat down heavily. Jesus, Kate. I'm so sorry. With someone at his firm. It's been going on for 2 months. I set up a confrontation, caught them together at my house. That's why you look like you haven't slept. I haven't. I rubbed my eyes. I don't know what to do, James. Part of me wants to kick him out permanently, file for divorce, burn it all down. Part of me keeps thinking about 10 years together. How do I just throw that away? You're not the one throwing it away. He did that when he cheated. James leaned forward. Kate, I went through this 3 years ago. Different circumstances. Jennifer had an affair with a colleague at her law firm. I tried to make it work. We did counseling. I tried to forgive. But every time she was late from work, every time she checked her phone, I wondered. The trust never came back. So you divorced. Eventually. And honestly, best decision I ever made. It was hell at the time, but now I'm with someone who respects me, who doesn't lie. Someone I can actually trust. He paused. I'm not saying you should definitely divorce Connor, but I am saying that some things can't be fixed, no matter how much you want them to be. After my shift ended at 8 p.m., I drove home through dark Seattle streets, James's words echoing in my mind. The house was still empty. Connor was respecting my request for space at least. I ordered Thai food and ate it mechanically while scrolling through my phone. On impulse, I opened Instagram and looked up Amber Cruz's profile. It was public. Photos of her at architecture sites, at gallery openings, at restaurants, and there, from 6 weeks ago, a photo that made my stomach turn. Amber and Connor at what looked like a work event, standing close together, her hand on his arm. The caption, "Great night with amazing colleagues." I kept scrolling. More photos, more events. A picture from Portland, the weekend Connor had claimed to have client meetings. Amber in front of Powell's books. Caption, "Best weekend exploring a new city." She'd been documenting their affair in real time, hiding it in plain sight among work photos and travel shots. I wondered if Connor knew, if he'd liked these photos, commented on them, careful to keep things looking professional. My phone rang. Connor. I almost didn't answer. But James was right. I needed to face this, one way or another. Kate. Thank God. I've been so worried. I had surgery today. I wasn't going to answer your calls while I had a patient's life in my hands. Of course. I'm sorry. How did it go? Perfectly. Mrs. Patterson is in recovery. Her new valve is functioning well. She'll probably live another 20 years. Unlike our marriage, I didn't add. That's great. Kate, can we please talk? In person? I've been staying at the Edgewater. I could come by, or you could come here, or we could meet somewhere neutral. Tomorrow. Come to the house at noon. We'll talk then. Okay, thank you. Kate, I hung up before he could finish. I wasn't ready for his apologies or explanations yet. That night, I couldn't sleep in our bedroom. The bed we'd shared for 10 years felt contaminated somehow, tainted by the knowledge of what Connor had done. Instead, I made up the guest room and lay awake, staring at the ceiling. My mind wouldn't stop racing. Questions with no good answers. How long had he been unhappy? Had I missed signs? Was it something I did or didn't do? Was Amber better than me somehow? No. I stopped that thought immediately. This wasn't about me being inadequate. This was about Connor making a choice. A selfish, destructive choice. At 2 a.m., I got up and opened my laptop. I needed information, needed to understand my options. I researched divorce laws in Washington state, a no-fault community property state, meaning assets would be split equally regardless of who was at fault for the marriage ending. The house we'd bought 8 years ago, now worth over $1 million in Seattle's inflated market. Our retirement accounts, savings, everything would be divided. I also looked up marriage counselors specializing in infidelity. Part of me resisted. Why should I have to do the work to fix what Connor broke? But another part, the part that had spent 10 years building this life with him, wanted to at least explore whether salvaging the marriage was possible. By morning, I had a list of 3 counselors and a consultation scheduled with a divorce attorney for Tuesday. I was covering all my bases, preparing for any outcome. Michelle came over at 10 a.m. with bagels and moral support. "How are you really doing?" she asked, studying my face. "I performed successful open-heart surgery yesterday, so I've got that going for me." I attempted a smile. Beyond that, I honestly don't know. I'm angry and hurt and confused. I keep oscillating between wanting to work it out and wanting to burn his clothes in the backyard. Both are valid responses. "Connor's coming at noon. We're going to talk. Do you want me to stay? Or hide in the other room with a baseball bat?" As appealing as that sounds, I need to do this alone. After Michelle left, I spent the remaining hour cleaning the house. Not because it was dirty, but because I needed something to do with my hands. At exactly noon, Connor's key turned in the lock. He looked terrible. Unshaven, rumpled, dark circles under his eyes. Good, I thought viciously. He should look terrible. "Kate," he said, standing awkwardly in the doorway. "Thank you for seeing me. Sit down. You wanted to talk? So talk." We sat on opposite ends of the couch, the space between us feeling vast. Connor took a deep breath. "I don't know where to start. Everything I want to say sounds like an excuse or a justification, and there is no justification for what I did. Try anyway. I want to understand how my husband of 10 years decided to have an affair with his 28-year-old coworker." He winced at my tone but pressed on. "It started at a company retreat in August. We were working late on a project, had too much wine, talked for hours. She understood the pressure of the architecture world in a way that felt refreshing. She looked up to me, admired my work. It made me feel valued. And I didn't make you feel valued after 10 years of supporting your career, celebrating your successes, being your partner. You did. You do. But Kate, you're always so competent, so self-sufficient. You don't need me. You have your own incredible career, your own life. Sometimes I felt like we were roommates who occasionally had sex, not partners." The criticism stung, partly because there was a grain of truth to it. Our schedules rarely aligned. We'd gotten comfortable, complacent maybe. So instead of talking to me about feeling disconnected, you started sleeping with Amber. It wasn't that calculated. It just happened. One kiss led to another, and suddenly we were in deep before I could think clearly about what I was doing. For 2 months, Connor. This wasn't one mistake. It was a sustained pattern of lying and betrayal. I know. And I'm not defending it. I'm just trying to explain. What about Portland? You told me you had client meetings. He looked down. I did have a client meeting. Friday morning. Amber drove up Friday night. We spent the weekend together. Using our money. Staying in hotels I'm paying for with my surgical salary while you romanced your mistress. I'll pay you back. This isn't about money. I stood up, unable to sit still anymore. This is about trust. This is about you looking me in the eye every single day and lying. This is about you planning to tell me after our anniversary dinner, like you were doing me some kind of favor by waiting. That was wrong. All of it was wrong. He stood too, moving toward me. Kate, I ended it with Amber. Completely. I told her it was a mistake. That I want to fix my marriage. When did you tell her that? Yesterday, after you threw her out of our house. I called her, told her it was over, that I was going to do whatever it takes to save my marriage. How noble. You ended your affair after you got caught. That really demonstrates commitment. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? I turned to face him. I want you to have not done this in the first place. But since we can't go back in time, I want you to understand what you've destroyed. I want you to comprehend that the trust we built over 10 years is gone, shattered, and I don't know if it can ever be rebuilt. But we can try, right? Counseling, therapy, whatever it takes? Maybe. I don't know yet. I crossed my arms. I have questions, and I need you to answer them honestly. No more lies. Anything. Do you love her? The pause before he answered told me everything. I thought I did. In the moment, it felt like love. But now I realize it was just excitement, novelty. What I have with you is real. 10 years of real. Did you sleep with her in our bed? No, never. Only at hotels, her apartment. Never here. Small mercies. Are you still in contact with her? No, I blocked her number. I told my partners at the firm that we need to keep things professional. Actually, she's probably going to leave the company. This has made working together impossible. Did anyone else know? Your colleagues, friends? No, we were careful. Discreet. He paused. I'm ashamed of that too. The planning, the deception. I walked to the window, looking out at the garden. I need time, Connor. I need space to figure out what I want. Whether I can forgive this. Whether I even want to try. How much time? I don't know. A week. Maybe more. But I need you to stay somewhere else. I can't think clearly with you here. Okay. Whatever you need. He pulled out a business card. This is a marriage counselor who specializes in infidelity. If you decide you want to try, I've already reached out. She has availability next week. I took the card without looking at it. After Connor left, I sat in the silence of my house and cried. Not the angry tears of Friday night, but deep, grieving sobs for everything I'd lost. The marriage I thought I had. The trust I'd given so freely. The future I'd imagined. I didn't know if I could forgive Connor. I didn't know if our marriage could survive this. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to make any decisions from a place of pain and anger. I was going to take my time, think clearly, and choose what was truly best for me. Not for Connor, not for our marriage. For me. The divorce attorney's office was in a downtown Seattle high-rise with views of Puget Sound. I sat across from Patricia Walsh, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and an efficient manner. Dr. Chen, thank you for coming in. Tell me about your situation. I laid out the facts clinically, the way I'd present a patient case. Married 10 years. No children. My husband had a 2-month affair with a coworker. I discovered it Friday night. We're currently separated. He's staying in a hotel while I decide whether to pursue divorce or attempt reconciliation through counseling. Patricia made notes on her legal pad. Do you have documentation of the affair? Screenshots of text messages. Credit card statements showing hotel charges. A witness. My sister knew I was setting up the confrontation. I paused. Not that it matters in Washington state. We're a no-fault divorce state. True, but documentation can be useful in other ways. Have you discussed finances with your husband? Not yet. We own a house together, purchased 8 years ago for $650,000, currently valued around $1.2 million. We have joint accounts, individual retirement accounts, and I make significantly more than Connor, about $380,000 to his $150,000. Patricia's eyebrows rose slightly. As a cardiac surgeon, you're likely the primary breadwinner. In a divorce, you'd be looking at equal division of marital assets and possibly spousal support to Connor, though his income level makes that less certain. The thought of paying Connor alimony after he'd cheated made my jaw clench. What if I wanted to pursue reconciliation? What should I know? If you're considering staying, I'd recommend a post-nuptial agreement. It protects you if you decide later that the marriage isn't salvageable. You could stipulate that if there's another affair, he forfeits certain assets. Some couples find it helpful. It holds the cheating spouse accountable while you work on rebuilding trust. I liked the idea. Clear consequences. Accountability. One more thing, Patricia said. Whether you divorce or not, I'd recommend separating your finances immediately. Individual bank accounts, separate credit cards. Protect yourself financially while you figure out next steps. I left her office with a folder of information and a clearer sense of my options. I wasn't ready to file for divorce, but knowing I had a plan if I needed one felt empowering. That afternoon, I had coffee with my colleague James Park. How was the consultation? He asked. Illuminating. I learned that if I divorce Connor, he could potentially get spousal support from me. James winced. That's rough, but expected in Washington. What are you thinking? Honestly, I don't know. I've been married to Connor for 10 years. We've built a life together. Part of me wants to fight for that, but another part keeps thinking about what you said, about trust never really coming back. Have you talked to him since Saturday? Briefly. He wants couples counseling. I agreed to try it, at least a few sessions. See if there's anything worth saving. I stirred my latte absently. I scheduled our first appointment for Thursday. That's brave. A lot of people would just walk away. Maybe that would be easier. But I'm a surgeon, James. I'm trained to fix things, to repair damage. I can't just walk away without at least trying to save this. Just make sure you're trying to save the marriage because you want to, not because you feel like you should. There's a difference. His words stayed with me as I drove home. Was I pursuing counseling because I genuinely wanted to fix things with Connor? Or because I felt obligated after 10 years? Because divorce felt like failure? Because I was afraid of being alone? I didn't have good answers. Wednesday morning, I went to the bank and opened my own checking and savings accounts, transferring half our joint savings, $73,000, into my name. It felt aggressive, mercenary even. But Patricia had been clear. Protect yourself financially. That evening, Connor called. Kate, I got an alert that money was transferred out of our savings. I opened my own accounts. My attorney advised it. Silence. You're already talking to divorce attorneys? I'm covering my bases. You had an affair, Connor. I'm not going to be financially vulnerable while I figure out what I want. I understand, I do. It just makes everything feel so final. Nothing's final yet. We have counseling Thursday. But I need to protect myself. Surely you can understand that. Yeah, of course. He paused. Are you doing okay? I mean, beyond everything with us? How's work? The question surprised me. Work is good. I had 2 surgeries this week, both successful. It's actually nice to focus on something I'm good at, something I have control over. You're an incredible surgeon, Kate. I hope you know that. The compliment felt strange coming from him now. Thank you. I should go. I'll see you Thursday at Dr. Morrison's office. Thursday afternoon, I sat in Dr. Elaine Morrison's office, a calming space with soft lighting and comfortable chairs. Connor arrived 5 minutes after me, and we sat on opposite ends of a couch, the physical distance between us mirroring the emotional chasm. Dr. Morrison was a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a direct manner. Thank you both for coming. I understand you're here because of infidelity in the marriage. Connor, you had an affair. Kate, you recently discovered it. Is that accurate? We both nodded. Okay. Before we go further, I need to know, are you both committed to being here? To doing the work this will require? Yes, Connor said immediately. I hesitated. I'm committed to trying. I can't promise more than that. That's honest, and that's enough for now. Dr. Morrison turned to Connor. Tell me about the affair. Start from the beginning. Connor went through the story again. The company retreat, the connection with Amber, the escalation into a physical relationship. I listened, picking up details I hadn't known. How Amber had pursued him initially. How flattered he'd felt. How the affair had made him feel young and exciting again. You're 43, Dr. Morrison noted. Was this a midlife crisis? Maybe partly. I've been feeling stuck. Like my best work is behind me. The firm's younger architects are doing innovative projects while I'm managing clients and budgets. Amber looked at me like I was brilliant and visionary. It was intoxicating. And Kate didn't make you feel that way? Kate is brilliant in her own right. She doesn't need me to be visionary. She has her own career, her own success. Sometimes I felt like an accessory to her life rather than a partner. Dr. Morrison turned to me. How does that land with you, Kate? It's bullshit. The words came out sharper than I'd intended. I celebrated every one of Connor's successes. I supported his career, attended his events, listened to his work problems. If he felt like an accessory, maybe it's because he stopped engaging with our marriage. He chose to have an affair instead of talking to me about feeling disconnected. That's fair, Dr. Morrison said. Connor, It sounds like you had legitimate feelings of dissatisfaction in the marriage. But instead of addressing them directly with Kate, you sought validation elsewhere. That's not uncommon, but it's deeply destructive. Connor nodded miserably. I know. I handled everything wrong. Kate, tell me what you need from Connor right now. I thought about the question. What did I need? Honesty. Complete transparency. Access to his phone, his email, his location. I know that sounds controlling, but I can't start to rebuild trust if I'm constantly wondering where he is or who he's talking to. That's reasonable, Dr. Morrison said. Connor, are you willing to provide that level of transparency? Absolutely. Whatever Kate needs. I also need to understand why, I continued. Not just the surface-level reasons about feeling unappreciated. I need to understand what was missing in our marriage that made infidelity feel like an acceptable solution to you. Connor leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. I think I'd stopped feeling necessary. You're so capable, Kate. You don't need me to fix things or solve problems or even be there, really. Your career is demanding. You're constantly at the hospital, and when you're home, you're often exhausted. I felt like we'd become ships passing in the night. So the solution was to find someone who made you feel needed? I'm not saying it was right. I'm just trying to be honest about what I was feeling. Dr. Morrison intervened. This is good. You're both being honest, which is essential. But Kate, I want you to hear something important. Connor's feelings of disconnection don't justify his affair. Nothing justifies betrayal. However, if you decide to work on this marriage, you'll both need to address the underlying issues that created an environment where infidelity became possible. You're saying our marriage had problems before the affair. Most marriages that experience infidelity do. The affair is a symptom, not the disease. That doesn't excuse it. Connor made a choice that was wrong. But rebuilding will require both of you to look honestly at what wasn't working. We spent the next hour talking about our marriage, the slow drift that had happened over the years, my demanding career, Connor's growing sense of irrelevance, the way we'd stopped really seeing each other, stopped prioritizing time together, stopped being partners and become cohabitants. It was painful. Necessary, but painful. As the session ended, Dr. Morrison gave us homework. I want you each to write a letter. Connor, write to Kate about what you value about her in your marriage, what you want to preserve, what you're fighting for. Kate, write to Connor about what you need to even consider rebuilding. We'll discuss both letters next week. In the parking lot, Connor and I stood awkwardly by our cars. That was hard, he said. Yeah, but helpful, I think. Dr. Morrison is good. She is. I unlocked my car. I'll see you next Thursday. Kate, wait. Would you want to have dinner? Not at the house, somewhere neutral. Just to talk, not about the affair, about us. I considered it. Not yet. I'm not ready for that. Okay. When you are, let me know. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with a blank piece of paper, trying to write the letter Dr. Morrison had assigned. What did I need from Connor to consider rebuilding our marriage? I wrote, trust, complete transparency, time, space to heal, proof through actions, not just words, a commitment to counseling for at least 6 months, a post-nuptial agreement protecting me if this happens again, an end to all contact with Amber, including her leaving the firm, patience while I work through my anger and hurt. The list felt cold, transactional, but it was honest. I also wrote, I need to understand why I wasn't enough. I need to know that you chose me, not just defaulted back to me because the affair ended. I need to feel like we're partners again, not strangers living in the same house. I need to believe that this marriage is worth fighting for. Reading it back, I realized how uncertain I still was. Part of me wanted to save the marriage. Part of me wanted to burn it down and start over. I folded the letter and put it in my purse for next week's session. Friday afternoon, I was between surgeries when my phone rang. An unknown number with a Seattle area code. Dr. Chen speaking. Dr. Chen, this is Rachel Stone from Amber Cruz's legal representation. I'm calling regarding a potential harassment claim my client is considering filing. My stomach dropped. Harassment? Ms. Cruz claims you orchestrated a confrontation at your home. created an emotionally traumatic situation, and have caused her significant professional and personal damage. She's prepared to file a restraining order if you contact her again. The audacity was stunning. Miss Stone, I haven't contacted your client at all. She texted my husband. I responded from his phone. She came to my house willingly, expecting to spend time with my husband. I simply informed her that her affair with my husband was over. If that's harassment, then she should consider it mutual. She harassed my marriage for 2 months. My client maintains, your client is an adult woman who knowingly pursued a relationship with a married man. She texted him during our 10th anniversary dinner. I'm not interested in her claims of trauma, and if she files anything, I'll countersue for alienation of affection. I paused, letting that sink in. I recommend you advise your client to move on with her life and leave mine alone. I hung up, my hands shaking. The nerve. Amber had helped destroy my marriage and now wanted to play the victim. I called Patricia Walsh immediately. Don't worry, Patricia said after I explained. Alienation of affection isn't actually a claim in Washington state anymore. But she doesn't need to know that. This sounds like posturing. She's embarrassed and trying to shift blame. I doubt she'll actually file anything. A restraining order requires proof of harassment, and you've had no contact with her. Should I be worried? No. But if she does contact you or file anything, call me immediately. In the meantime, continue having zero contact with her. After the call, I sat in the surgeon's lounge feeling angry and exhausted. This was my life now. Managing my husband's affair, his mistress's legal threats, counseling sessions, and somehow still performing life-saving surgeries. I pulled out my phone and texted Connor. Me. Amber's attorney called threatening a harassment claim. Did you know about this? Connor. What? No. I'll call her immediately and tell her to back off. Me. Don't. My attorney says it's just posturing, but you need to ensure she understands there's to be no contact between any of us. None. Connor. I'll handle it. I'm so sorry, Kate. Me. Just fix it. That weekend, I did something I hadn't done in months. I went to my favorite hiking trail in the Cascades. The October air was crisp and cold, the trees brilliant with fall colors. I hiked for hours, alone with my thoughts and the sound of my breathing. At the summit, looking out over the mountains, I felt the first moment of real clarity I'd had since this started. I'd been so focused on whether to forgive Connor, whether to save the marriage, that I'd lost sight of a more important question. What did I want my life to look like? Did I want to be married to someone I'd have to monitor, verify, constantly question? Did I want to spend years rebuilding trust that might never fully return? Did I want to stay with Connor because of 10 years of history, or because I actually saw a future worth fighting for? I sat on a rock and pulled out my phone, opening my Notes app. I wrote, what I know. I'm an excellent surgeon. I'm financially independent. I have family and friends who support me. I don't need Connor to survive. What I don't know, if I can ever trust him again, if staying is strength or weakness, if our marriage can recover from this, if I even want it to. I looked at the list for a long time. Then I added one more line. What I'm starting to suspect, I might be stronger without him. The thought didn't bring relief or sadness, just clarity. Thanksgiving approached, and with it came the question of how to handle family. My parents were flying in from California, Connor's parents from Michigan. We'd planned this months ago. The big family Thanksgiving at our house. Everyone together. Now everything was complicated. What do you want to do? Connor asked during our third counseling session. We can still host together or cancel or... We should tell them, I said. All of them. Together. They deserve to know what's happening. Dr. Morrison nodded approvingly. That's mature. How do you think your families will react? My parents will be furious at Connor, I said. They adore him, but they're protective of me. His parents will probably blame me somehow. I worked too much. Wasn't attentive enough. Connor flinched. My parents won't blame you. Won't they? Your mom has made comments for years about how much I work, how I should have given you children by now. That's not fair. Isn't it? Be honest, Connor. Your mother never approved of my career. She thinks I should have been a stay-at-home wife. Dr. Morrison intervened. This is good to explore. Connor, do you feel your family put pressure on the marriage? Not pressure exactly. But yes, my mom has traditional views. She doesn't understand why Kate works such long hours. He looked at me, but I never agreed with her. I've always been proud of your career, until it made you feel unnecessary. We were going in circles, and I was exhausted. The family confrontation happened the Sunday before Thanksgiving. Everyone gathered in our living room, my parents, Connor's parents, Michelle, and Connor's brother Drew. The tension was palpable. Thank you all for coming, I began. Connor and I have something to tell you, and it's not good news. Connor took over. I had an affair. For 2 months. Kate found out 3 weeks ago, and we're currently separated while we try to work through whether our marriage can survive. The silence was deafening. Then my mother spoke. You did what? Her voice was ice. Mom, I started. No, Kate, let me speak. She turned to Connor. We welcomed you into our family. We've loved you like a son for 12 years. And this is how you repay our daughter? By cheating on her? Connor's mother, Helen, jumped in. Now, wait just a minute. We don't know the whole story. Marriage is complicated. The story is simple, my father said, his voice dangerously quiet. Connor betrayed Kate's trust. There's no complication that justifies that. Well, perhaps if Kate had been more available, more attentive to Connor's needs, Helen began. I felt my temper snap. Stop, right there. This is not about my career. This is not about me working too much or not being domestic enough. This is about Connor making a choice to cheat. Don't you dare blame me for his affair. Helen's face reddened. I'm not blaming you, dear. I'm just saying that sometimes women today get so focused on careers that they forget their husbands need attention too. Helen, Connor's father said sharply. That's enough. Thank you, Robert, I said. And Helen, for the record. I was attentive. I supported Connor's career, celebrated his successes, managed our home, and somehow also saved lives at the hospital. If that wasn't enough for him, the problem isn't with me. Michelle stood up. I think what Kate is trying to say is that she and Connor are working through this in counseling. They don't need judgment from anyone. They need support. Or Kate needs support to leave him, my mother added. Sweetheart, you don't have to stay with someone who betrayed you. I know, Mom. But it's my choice to make. The dinner that followed was awkward and tense. Connor's parents left early. My parents stayed, my mother pulling me aside. Are you really trying to save this marriage? She asked. I don't know yet. I'm in counseling, exploring my options. Baby, you're a brilliant surgeon. You're financially independent. You don't need him. I know. But it's not about need. It's about whether there's something worth saving. Is there? I thought about the past 3 weeks. The counseling sessions where Connor seemed genuinely remorseful. The transparency he'd offered, giving me access to his phone, his email, his location, the letter he'd written about what he valued in our marriage. But I also thought about the trust that was shattered, the way I still flinched when his phone buzzed, the anger that would surge up at random moments, the fact that I'd moved my belongings to the guest room and couldn't imagine sleeping in our bed again. I don't know, Mom. I honestly don't know. The next week, Dr. Morrison had us do an exercise. I want you each to envision your ideal future. 5 years from now, what does your life look like? Don't think about each other or the marriage. Just think about what you want your life to be. I closed my eyes. 5 years. I'd be 39, in my prime as a surgeon. What did I want? I wanted to be department head at Swedish Medical Center. I wanted to have published research on innovative cardiac procedures. I wanted to mentor younger surgeons. I wanted financial security and professional respect. And personally, I wanted a partner who valued me, who I could trust completely, who made me feel cherished rather than convenient. I opened my eyes and wrote it all down. Connor did the same. When we shared, I was struck by how different our visions were. His included children, something we'd been trying for but hadn't achieved. A bigger house, maybe in the suburbs. Me working less, being home more. Him as a named partner at his firm. Connor, Dr. Morrison said gently, your vision includes changing Kate. That's concerning. I don't want to change her. I thought we both wanted kids. We did, I said. We do, but it hasn't happened, and I'm not going to sacrifice my career in the meantime. My work is important to me. I know that. I just wish you worked less. And I wish you hadn't cheated. We don't always get what we wish for. The session ended with homework. Write down 3 things the marriage would need to change for us to build a healthy future together. At home that night, I stared at the blank page. What would need to change? Everything. Trust, communication, priorities. The fundamental dynamic that had allowed Connor to feel justified in having an affair. Or maybe what needed to change was simpler. I needed to accept that some things can't be fixed. The next day, I had lunch with James Park. You're looking better, he observed. More like yourself. I've been thinking a lot about what I really want versus what I think I should want. And I think I've been trying to save this marriage because I feel like I should. Because we've been together so long. Because divorce feels like failure. But the truth is, I don't know if I want to be married to Connor anymore. That's honest. Every counseling session, we make some progress. Connor's remorseful. He's transparent. He's doing the work. But I still can't imagine trusting him again. I can't imagine being vulnerable with him. And without trust and vulnerability, what kind of marriage is it? James nodded. Sounds like you're arriving at a decision. I think I am. It's just scary to admit it. That night, Connor called. Can I come over? I want to show you something. He arrived with a folder full of papers. I had my attorney draw this up, a post-nuptial agreement. If we reconcile and I ever cheat again, or betray you in any significant way, I forfeit all claims to marital assets. The house, savings, everything goes to you. I want you to feel safe. I read through the document. It was comprehensive, protective of me in ways that should have felt reassuring. Instead, I felt sad. Connor, it's generous. But I don't think I want to rebuild a marriage that requires this level of legal protection. He looked stricken. What are you saying? I'm saying that a marriage where one person needs a contract to ensure the other won't cheat isn't a healthy marriage. It's not your fault. You're doing everything right. But I can't do this. I can't spend years rebuilding trust that might never fully return. I can't live with constant vigilance. I deserve better than that. Kate, please. I want a divorce. The words hung between us. Once spoken, they couldn't be taken back. Connor's face crumpled. Don't do this. We can make it work. Dr. Morrison thinks we're making progress. We are making progress. But progress toward what? A marriage where I always wonder if you're really at the office? Where I check your phone and track your location? That's not a partnership. That's a prison. I'll earn back your trust, however long it takes. That's the thing, Connor. I don't think you can. And I don't think I want to spend years trying. I took a breath. I spent 3 weeks trying to decide if I could forgive you. But I've been asking the wrong question. It's not about whether I can forgive you. It's about whether I want to rebuild with you. And I don't. He sat down heavily. So that's it? 10 years and you're just done? You were done when you started sleeping with Amber. I'm just acknowledging reality. This is because of my mom's comments, isn't it? At Thanksgiving? No. This is because you had an affair. Your mother's comments just highlighted that we want different things. You want a wife who works less, who's more available, who fits a traditional mold. I want a partner who values my career, who doesn't resent my success, who stays faithful when things get hard. I do value your career. You resented it enough to cheat with someone who made you feel important because she's junior to you at the firm. You wanted to feel superior, admired. I'm your equal, Connor. And I think that's always bothered you, even if you won't admit it. The accusation hit home. I could see it in his face. What happens now? He asked quietly. I already have a divorce attorney. We'll divide assets according to Washington state law. The house will be sold, proceeds split. Everything else gets divided equally. It should be straightforward since we don't have kids. Just like that. A decade of marriage, reduced to dividing property. You reduced it when you cheated. I'm just handling the paperwork. After Connor left, I sat in the quiet house and cried. Not for the marriage. That had been dying for a while, I realize now. But for the time lost, the future that would never happen, the life I'd built that was now being dismantled. I called Michelle. I told him I want a divorce. "Oh, honey, are you okay?" "Yeah. Sad, but okay. It's the right decision. I'm proud of you. It takes strength to walk away." "It takes more strength than staying would have," I said. "Staying would have been easier, expected. But I deserve more than a marriage built on suspicion and prenuptial contracts." The next week, I met with Patricia Walsh to begin divorce proceedings. "You're sure about this?" she asked. "Completely." "Okay. I'll file the petition. Given that you have no children and assets are straightforward, we should be able to finalize within 6 months. Connor's attorney will receive the papers within days. He's not going to contest it. He knows it's over." That Friday, I had my final session with Dr. Morrison, this time alone. "Connor told me you've decided to divorce. How are you feeling about that decision?" "Certain. Sad, but certain. I spent weeks trying to decide if I could forgive him. But forgiveness isn't the issue. It's about whether I want to rebuild. And I don't. That's a healthy realization. Many people stay in marriages out of obligation or fear, not because they genuinely want to rebuild. I think I was doing that, trying to save the marriage because I felt like I should, not because I wanted to." "What made you realize that?" "Connor brought me a post-nuptial agreement, this incredibly detailed contract protecting me if he cheated again. And I realized, I don't want a marriage that requires that. I want a relationship built on trust, not contracts. And we can't have that anymore." Dr. Morrison nodded. "Trust, once broken this significantly, is very difficult to repair. Some couples manage it, but it requires both people to be fully committed, and it sounds like you weren't. Not because you're weak, but because you're honest with yourself about what you want and deserve." "I deserve a partner who won't cheat." That seems like a low bar, but apparently it's not. It's not a low bar. It's the foundation of marriage. Connor violated that. You're allowed to decide that violation is unforgivable. Walking out of Dr. Morrison's office for the last time, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. The decision was made. The path was clear. Now I just had to walk it. 6 months later, I stood in the doorway of my new condo in Queen Anne, watching movers carry in the last of my furniture. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Elliott Bay, the Olympic Mountains visible in the distance. It was smaller than the house Connor and I had shared, but it was entirely mine. The divorce had been finalized 3 weeks ago. As predicted, it had been straightforward. The house sold quickly in Seattle's hot market. We split the proceeds, divided our other assets equally. Connor had already moved to Portland for a job at a firm there. A fresh start for both of us. Michelle arrived with champagne and takeout from my favorite Thai restaurant. "Here's to new beginnings," she said, pouring us both glasses. "To new beginnings," I echoed. We ate pad thai sitting on my new couch, looking out at the view. "How do you feel?" Michelle asked. "Really? Free. Lighter. Like I can breathe again." I paused. "Also sad sometimes. 10 years doesn't just disappear, but the sadness is manageable. It's not overwhelming like it was." "Any regrets about the divorce?" I thought about it honestly. No. I regret the wasted time. I regret not seeing the problems earlier, but divorcing Connor? That was the right call. My phone buzzed. A text from James Park. "James, congratulations on the new place. Dinner this week to celebrate?" I smiled. James and I had been spending more time together. As friends, nothing romantic yet. But there was potential there, and I was open to seeing where it might lead. Eventually. I'd love that. "Thursday?" "James, perfect. I know a great seafood place in Belltown." "That smile," Michelle said. "James? Just dinner. We're taking things slow." "Good. You deserve someone who treats you right." The following week, I got a promotion at Swedish Medical Center, Director of Cardiac Surgery. It came with a significant raise, more responsibility, and the opportunity to shape the department's future. "Dr. Chen, your work has been exemplary," the chief of surgery said when offering me the position. "Your surgical outcomes are among the best in the region. Your research is innovative, and your residents speak highly of your mentorship. We're thrilled to have you in this leadership role." I accepted immediately. This was what I'd been working toward for years. And without the distraction of trying to save a failing marriage, I could fully focus on my career. At the celebration dinner my department threw, I gave a short speech. Thank you all for your support. This past year has been challenging personally, but work has been my anchor. Surgery is where I feel most myself, focused, capable, in control. I'm excited about this new role and about what we'll accomplish together. Afterward, James pulled me aside. You look happy. Genuinely happy. I am. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm glad. He paused. Can I ask you something? That dinner Thursday? Could we call it a date? Officially? I smiled. I'd like that. Thursday evening, James picked me up from my new condo. He looked nervous, which I found endearing. You clean up nice, I said. He was wearing a blazer and dark jeans, his usual casual style elevated slightly. So do you. I'd chosen a simple blue dress. Nothing too formal, but definitely date-appropriate. Dinner was at a seafood restaurant on the waterfront. We talked easily, the way we had for months as friends, but with an undercurrent of something more. Can I ask about Connor? James said over dessert. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. It's okay. What do you want to know? Do you ever wonder if you made the right choice? Divorcing him instead of trying to work it out? Sometimes. Usually late at night when I'm alone and the condo feels too quiet. But then I remember how I felt during counseling. Constantly vigilant, always wondering if I could trust him. That's no way to live. No, it's not. Jennifer, my ex, she wanted to reconcile after her affair. I tried for 6 months, but the trust never came back. Every late night at work, every phone call, I wondered. Eventually, I realized I was staying out of stubbornness, not love. How long after the divorce before you felt okay? About a year. The first few months were rough. Anger, grief, questioning everything. But gradually it got better. I rediscovered hobbies I'd neglected, reconnected with friends, started to remember who I was outside of that marriage. That's where I am now. Rediscovering myself. It's actually kind of exciting. After dinner, we walked along the waterfront, the city lights reflecting off the water. I should be honest about something, James said. I've been interested in you for a while, even before your divorce. But obviously, I wasn't going to say anything while you were married. I appreciate that, and I'm interested too. But I need to take things slowly. I'm not ready for anything serious yet. Understood. We'll take it at whatever pace feels right for you. He kissed me at the end of the night. A gentle, respectful kiss that made me feel seen and valued in ways I hadn't felt in years. Over the following months, James and I fell into an easy rhythm. Dinner once or twice a week. Occasional concerts or gallery openings. Long conversations about everything and nothing. He was patient with my boundaries, never pushing for more than I was ready to give. One evening in late spring, we were having dinner at my condo when he asked about the future. Where do you see this going? Us, I mean? I set down my wine glass. Honestly, I don't know. I like you a lot. I enjoy spending time with you. But I'm still figuring out who I am post-divorce. I don't want to jump into something serious before I'm ready. That's fair. I'm not in a rush. I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. We are. And James, thank you for being patient with me. For not expecting me to be over Connor on some arbitrary timeline. You take whatever time you need. I'll be here when you're ready. That summer, Michelle got engaged to a man she'd been dating for a year. At her engagement party, she pulled me aside. Look at you, she said. Glowing. Happy. This is the Kate I remember from before Connor. I feel like myself again. Like I'm not performing a role anymore. I'm so proud of you. For having the courage to walk away from a marriage that wasn't serving you. A lot of people would have stayed. Staying would have been easier in some ways. But I deserve better than easy. I deserve real. In September, almost a year after Connor's affair came to light, I ran into Amber Cruz at a coffee shop in Capitol Hill. She was with a man, laughing at something on her phone. She looked happy. For a moment, I considered just leaving, but then she looked up and saw me. Her smile died. Dr. Chen, she said quietly. Amber. Awkward silence. The man with her looked confused. I owe you an apology, Amber said finally. What I did was wrong. Unforgivable, really. I was young and stupid and I didn't think about the consequences. About you. I studied her. She looked older somehow, less like the confident woman in those Instagram photos. More uncertain. Thank you for saying that, I said. I won't say it's okay because it's not, but I appreciate the apology. How are you doing? I'm good. Really good, actually. Divorced, new condo, promotion at work. Turns out ending my marriage was the best thing that could have happened to me. She flinched slightly. Connor and I aren't together, if you're wondering. We tried for a few weeks after everything imploded, but it didn't work. Turns out an affair doesn't translate to a real relationship. Imagine that, I said dryly. I'm sorry. For everything. I hope you can find it in yourself to forgive me someday. Maybe. Someday. But not today. I left the coffee shop feeling lighter. I'd said what I needed to say. I'd seen that Amber had consequences too. Losing Connor. Probably damaging her reputation in Seattle's architecture community. I didn't need revenge or apologies. I just needed to move forward. That evening, James came over for dinner. I told him about running into Amber. How did that feel? He asked. Weird, but okay. I realized I don't hate her anymore. I don't really feel anything toward her. She's just someone who was part of a painful chapter that's now closed. That's growth. I think so. A year ago, I would have been furious. Now, I'm just grateful I'm not her. Grateful I chose myself over trying to save something that was already broken. In October, 1 year after discovering Connor's affair, I had dinner with my parents. You look wonderful, sweetheart, my mother said, truly happy. I am, Mom. I know you were worried after the divorce. I was terrified. Divorce is hard, and I didn't want you to go through that pain. But you've handled it with such grace. I don't know about grace. There were a lot of ugly crying sessions and angry rants. That's allowed. But you kept working, kept building your life. You didn't let Connor's betrayal define you. My father squeezed my hand. We're proud of you. That night, lying in bed in my condo, I thought about the past year. The pain of discovery. The attempts at counseling. The decision to divorce. The slow, difficult process of rebuilding. I thought about Connor sometimes, but not with anger anymore. Just a kind of distant sadness for what we'd had and lost. I'd heard through mutual friends that he was doing okay in Portland, dating someone new. I hoped he was happy. I hoped he'd learned from what happened. But mostly, I didn't think about him at all. My life had moved on. I had work I loved, friends who supported me, a condo that felt like home, and James, who was becoming increasingly important to me. We still hadn't defined what we were, hadn't put labels on our relationship, but we were moving forward together, slowly and carefully, building something real. One evening in November, James and I were cooking dinner together at my place when he said, I love you, you know. I stopped chopping vegetables and looked at him. You do? I do. I know it soon, and I don't expect you to say it back. But I wanted you to know. You're remarkable, Kate. Your strength, your intelligence, your compassion. I love all of it. I set down the knife and walked over to him. I love you too. I wasn't sure I was ready to feel that again, but I do. He kissed me. A kiss that promised patience and partnership, and a future built on honesty. That Thanksgiving, I hosted dinner at my condo. Michelle and her fiancé, my parents, James, and a few close friends. It was smaller than the big family gatherings Connor and I used to host, but it was real, intimate, filled with people who genuinely cared about me. During dinner, Michelle proposed a toast. To Kate, who showed us all what it means to choose yourself, to know your worth, to rebuild from the ashes of something painful into something beautiful. Everyone raised their glasses and I felt tears prick my eyes. Good tears this time. Thank you, I said. All of you. This year has been the hardest of my life, but it's also been the most transformative. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can survive betrayal and come out better on the other side, that endings can be beginnings in disguise. Later, after everyone had left, James and I stood at my window looking out at the city lights. What are you thinking? He asked. That a year ago I was planning Connor's anniversary dinner, completely oblivious to the fact that my marriage was a lie. I thought my life was settled, predictable. Then it all fell apart. And now? Now I have a life I actually chose. A career I'm passionate about. People who value me. A relationship built on honesty. It's not the life I planned, but it's better than the one I had. No regrets? I thought about it carefully. I regret the time wasted, the signs I missed, the years I spent trying to be the perfect wife instead of being authentically myself. But the divorce? Choosing myself over trying to save a broken marriage? No regrets at all. James pulled me close, and we stood there in comfortable silence, watching Seattle sparkle below us. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Unknown. Kate, it's Connor. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I wanted you to know I'm getting married. I hope you're happy too. I'm sorry for everything. Kai. I showed the message to James. How do you feel about that? He asked. Fine. Good for him, genuinely. I typed a response. Congratulations. I wish you well. Then I blocked the number. Some chapters need to stay closed. I'm happy, I said to James. Right here, right now, with you. I'm genuinely happy. Me too. And standing there in my condo, in the life I'd built from the ruins of my marriage, I realized something profound. Connor's affair had destroyed the life I thought I wanted. But in doing so, it had forced me to build the life I actually needed. A life where I valued myself, where I set boundaries, where I chose partners who respected me, where I pursued my career without guilt, where I was enough, all on my own. Connor's coworker had texted "I miss you" on a Friday night 13 months ago. In responding with "she's going out tonight," I'd set in motion a chain of events that led to divorce, heartbreak, and ultimately, freedom. I didn't thank Connor for his affair. Betrayal is never a gift. But I thanked myself for having the courage to walk away from a marriage that was slowly diminishing me, for choosing uncertainty over comfortable misery, for believing I deserved better. And I'd found better. Not just in James, though he was wonderful, but in myself. In the woman I'd become through the fire of betrayal and the work of healing. The woman who stood at the window of her own condo, in a career she'd fought for, with a man who valued her, looking out at a city full of possibility. That woman was strong, resilient, complete, and she was exactly who I was meant to be.